right, we are live. Hello, Lumber Society. It's about a minute until 8. We are supposed to go live at 8. However, I just wanted to let you all know, if you're tuning in for this live video, we're going to be doing knot tying and making cordage from rope. Making cordage from natural materials into rope, right? So the way this is going to work for a lot of you is I'm going to show you a few knots, and then what I'd like for you all to do is comment if you need me to re-show you the knot. So if I do a cow hitch or a prusik or whatever, and you're like, hold on, do it again, just comment that. I can see all the comments. I can see what's going on. I'll check here, make sure I've got everything set up and going well. So turn the volume down, make sure all the volumes are down. There we go. So waiting for a few more folks to hopefully join us. If you are not ready for this class, don't worry. If you can go get 2 pieces of rope really quick. I like the different colors. The different colors to me helps my eyes, helps me learn a lot quicker. And you will also need some natural fiber. I recommended everybody get some raffia. And if you didn't get any raffia, anything that you can use that's kind of loose and can be twisted. We'll talk about the qualities of cordage in just a moment. But for right now, I'm just giving you all an opportunity before we get started to go get these supplies. I would also recommend a little stick. If you can find a stick, that would also be great. But you don't need the stick. The stick is not an absolute necessity. It's just going to help me teach you better, so maybe you'll learn a little bit better. So what we're going to do is get started by discussing cordage. So here we go. I'm going to get started by showing you all this cool thing that I made. All right, this is my cordage board. It may be backwards to you all, so you may be reading it opposite. I don't know. Let's look at the video here. Yeah, it's backwards. It's okay. So these are all examples of cordage. You can see here we have plants. We have leaves, meaning stalks of plants. That's what kind this is right here. We have bushes. We have inner bark of trees, random leaf, palm, obviously, juniper bark here. So these are all cordages that are readily available to you here in Austin, Texas. And if you want me to hold that up again or give you a list of all those plants, I'd love to do so. But just to know, the definition, I would say, of cordage is taking weak individual fibers found in nature and turning them into good quality usable cord or rope. All right, that's what I would put as the definition of cordage. Now, we have lost, unfortunately, our connection to rope and cordage. We are no longer mariners. We are no longer fishermen. We are no longer, and when I say those things, I don't mean them in the sense that, we're not modern day fishermen, but we're not making our own nets. We're not making our own line. We're not making our own rope to do anything any longer. So this connection with cordage is kind of lost. Now, in my opinion, human beings, fire, rope, stone tools, those are the basics of every culture on the planet's existence. It's kind of where everybody came from, is using sticks, fibers from nature, animal parts. And again, we've lost this sense. So what I'm trying to say is, through this skill, through making cordage, we will reestablish that connection. And here, for those of you who've been to my fire making class, I guarantee you did not value a lighter until after you tried to start a fire by rubbing 2 sticks together. So what I'm getting at is, you don't value your zip ties and your duct tape and your nylon cord and all these things because you don't make that stuff. Right? And as soon as you learn this evening how to make your own cordage, you will have a much newfound appreciation for those things. So we have a lot of uses for rope in survival. Obviously, bow drill cords, bowstrings, snares, traps, lashings, carrying supplies, fish nets, cordage baskets. Just, there's so many things that we use cordage for, not only at the Lumber Society, but also in general survival and on our day-to-day existence. Think about how many times a day you try to bind something down. That's what rope does. It is a constrictor, right? Or a tethering or linking two items together, right? And so rope seems kind of easy to make. If you look at it, I'm going to use, this is raffia, right? Now, when I use this, okay, I'm just going to kind of spin this up like this, right? And there we go, right? That's my rope. Now, watch what happens when I let this go. Well, right? So it just comes unraveled. So there's a secret to making good quality rope. And that secret is called tension. Tension inside of your string. So for those of you watching, grab two individual fibers like this. You could even use the rope that you're planning to do your knots with. It'll still work. It won't work as well, but it will still work. So now that you've got these two individual fibers, you're going to learn the very first knot for the evening. And it's called the overhand knot. And here it is. Real quick, let me give you a couple of things. Anytime a rope is bent over onto itself and parallels itself, that is called a bite. Okay, that's called a bite. When the rope actually crosses itself, that is called a loop. Okay, so if I say put it on a bite, okay, that's going to look like that, right? The rope isn't crossing itself, but it's parallel to itself. If I say put it on a loop, that's going to be an actual physical loop. Okay, so take your two strands, make a loop. Okay, more terminology coming here. This is called the standing end, the end that's not working, and it's just simply standing. This is called the working end. So take your working end now that you've crossed over and made a loop and tuck it into your loop. Now, if suddenly your pull goes like that and there's no knot, then you did it wrong. So try again, okay? So make a loop, tuck the working end into the loop, and then pull tight. And that's step one to making cordage. You don't have to do this every single time. This is just for easeability, okay? Now that you've got a knot inside of your two strands or inside of your two fibers, you are going to separate them into a top one and a bottom one. Now, if you have these in two different colors, congratulations, you're going to be much more ahead of the rest of us, because sometimes the reason this is confusing is because you kind of lose track of where you're at and what you're making, okay? So earlier I spoke that there's a secret ingredient to making rope, and I said that that secret ingredient is tension. The way this is going to work is by taking the top one and twisting towards yourself, okay? So when you roll, the string should be rolling towards yourself. Now, you want to take that and hold that tension in there. Now, how do you do that? You have to use your fingers. So allow me to explain some parts of your body that are going to be used for making rope. This is called your cording hand, okay? It's usually my right hand. This is called your pinching hand. It's usually your left hand. That's for me. You might be opposite. Your cording hand and pinching hand might be switched, okay? Do what feels comfortable. If this is really fighting you and you're like, dang, I can't get this, try switching hands, okay? If you're left-handed, you may, try to do it. I do cordage generally left-handed, so if you're following along, this is how it's gonna look, okay? So here we go. I'm pinching the cord, I'm twisting towards myself, and then I am taking that pinching hand and I'm pinching that tension in, just like that, with the middle and the ring finger, okay? Index and thumb is holding the knot. Now that the tension has been twisted in, grab with the two fingers and hold that tension in. There we go. It should look just like that. When you're looking at your hand, this is what you should see, okay? And I can actually change the camera angle too. If anybody thinks that a better camera angle, like maybe pointing down to where you're looking at my hands, might be better. This is the first time we're doing this video live. I normally do this in front of a big audience, but we're doing it now. So we've got the tension in. We're now going to do the exact same thing to the bottom. So twist, 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 twist. Keep putting that twist in there. Now, you have to twist the exact same direction as the top one. So if you're going backwards, the bottom one needs to be going backwards. If they're going opposite, they will not twist together, and you will not be creating the proper tension for cordage making, okay? So twist, twist, twist on the top, twist, twist, twist on the bottom, and here we go. All we do is simply switch places. That's it. So the bottom becomes the top and the top becomes the bottom. Now watch, we do it again. Twist, 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 switch places. Okay, let me get my fingers back right here. Here we go. Twist, 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 switch places. Can you see what I'm doing? As you begin to slowly see all the tension that I'm putting in there, each and every twist, and then pulling together, you can see how the rope, I can't get that detail. There we go. Is that it? Does that look good? Right? You see that detail? You see how it looks like rope? It looks, right, like what's on my board here? Okay, that's what you're after. It should look like a spiraled rope when you get done. Okay, and again, I don't know if y'all can see that. Let me see if I can tap on that. Maybe that'll make it better. There we go. So I'm going to keep going here. If you are confused, comment, show me again, or talk about tension, or talk about hand placement, or let me even try to do this. I'm going to adjust this camera real quick so I'm looking down. Okay. Okay, here we go. Now, we've got our cord here, and I'm going to twist, put in tension, twist, flip over. Let's do it again together. Hold the tension in there, twist the tension into the second strand, and watch. Flip. And that's it. You're simply making sure there's enough tension on each side so that when you flip them over, they lock together. Now remember earlier when I just twisted that cord and I let it go and it just unraveled itself? Now look, when I let go of this cord, it's not unraveling itself, because here's what's happening. The tension in one strand is attempting to unravel itself. As it attempts to do that, it meets the other resistance of the other strand of the cord, and then it tries to unravel itself. And between the two, they've slowly become tethered together or twisted together. Okay? So let's start over real quick in case you're just joining us. Welcome. All right? And we are going to simply get started by twisting in the tension. Okay? Pinching that tension in, twisting the tension in this side, and now flip them over. Just like that. I'm going to do it for a little bit so you all can see how I do it. Okay, let's make sure you've got a good close view there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Notice how easy this is. A twist and a flip. A twist and a flip. Now, if you have a friend or a nail or a peg or a hook or a book you can place on top of this cordage, you can actually do this. You can tether and hold on to something, and now watch, you've got two hands to do this. So I can twist, twist, and now watch, flip. Twist, twist, flip. Twist, twist, flip. You see how easy this is? This is much easier than getting those fingers and those weird kind of shapes, right? I'll tell you, doing this, it will crimp your fingers, it will cramp your fingers, it will hurt your fingers. This way that I'm doing it right now is so much easier, okay? So that's rope making in a nutshell. And you can see my length of rope here that I've made, okay? And if you notice that it's not uniform or it's not even, what that means is that one strand had more tension than the other. If you have this thing that kind of looks like one is spiraling around a stick, that means that stick-looking one did not have enough tension in it. So all you got to do is back it up and just reapply the amount of tension that would be proper. Here's the other thing that can happen. If one side is too thick and one side is too thin, then what you're going to get is this real oblong cordage, and in the end it won't be as strong, right? And that's the only variation there. You're just gonna, it's not as strong of a cord as if both sides were uniformly even. Okay, so if you would need me to cover anything more about making rope, go ahead and comment down below and we will reassess this. If not, I'm going to move on into what is called splicing. Okay, splicing is really, really cool. It's how to add more rope in. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this and just pretend like I got to the end of this rope here. Okay, so now I'm making my beautiful cordage and I've gotten to the end. What do I do? How do I add in a new piece? Well, you've got a couple different methods. The first method is just the basic splice. You're literally taking your new strand, you're laying it over top. See that? You're grabbing them together and then twisting just like that. Okay, now that one or the two cords became one. Now, you've got to hold that in there pretty tight and then twist around it quite a few times before that new splice will accept. But once you've got that new splice in there, it should be working just fine. Okay, so now I get all the way to the end and I have officially spliced a new piece of cord into my rope. Now, let's pull on this. Let's see. Okay, when you yank on that, it should not come out. Here is a pro tip. Don't ever splice side by side. So if I put a splice right here, I would not put a splice right here because you're creating a massive weak section in the rope. Okay? If I put a splice here, I am going to put a splice down here. Think about how bricks on a house work. Think about how they interlock, right? It's that staggered method. And that's what you want to do with your cordage all the time, okay? So that's the first type of splice. The next type of splice, I'm just going to cut this one off real quick. Okay. The next type of splice is called a V splice. And this is just something I picked while messing around one day. You basically fold it like a little V, okay? And then you slide the smaller section onto the longer section and the longer section onto the smaller section. So let's look at how that would look. Here is my little V. I place it right into the middle and then I just start twisting both sections. Now, the reason that I don't like this one particularly too much is you will get a little bit of an aesthetic flaw inside of your cord, but I've kind of learned to just be okay with that flaw, but I've also kind of figured out a way to kind of mitigate it. If you look here, you can't really quite tell where exactly I put that splice, but really what it is just extra tension to make it blend in, that's all. So now I'm just going to keep going. Right? And you always want to go at least 2 inches past your splice just to reinforce that extra piece of cord inside there. Okay? So that's it. We've gone about 2 inches now, and there's my cord. I've got 2 splices in this thing, and I'm yanking pretty darn hard, okay? Now, the final splice, this is my favorite one, because the reason that all these cordages look, well, I'm sorry, I don't mean to like toot my own horn here, but the reason I feel that these look so good is because of how they were spliced. Particularly this willow here. This thing is uniform, this thickness, all the way down the rope, okay? And it's hard to do that with natural cordage. So the way we do it is what's called false splicing, okay? And here's what that looks like. I take not a whole chunk and lay it in there, but I take a small strand and twist it in. And then I make a little bit of cord, right? And then I add in another small strand and I make a little bit of cord. Now, some people tell me, man, that's just too much for me. I don't have that time. I don't have that patience. Well, that's fine. Remember this always, everybody. You need the right cord for the right job. If you spend 12 to 13 hours making a beautiful rope that you then go and haul firewood out of the woods from, you just wasted all that time. But if you spend 12 hours making a beautiful rope for a bow that took you, 150 hours to make because you're doing it all primitively or whatever, then that makes sense. Because that bow and the quality that you put into that item is going to serve you properly. Meaning it's going to get, you did the best job. And when we harvest animals from this earth, we respect the animals. How do we respect the animals? We effectively and efficiently take their life without any suffering. Okay? And what that means is we do the best job that we can on our tools every single time we make them. So, remember the right tool for the right job, the right cord for the right job. So take some time to practice these 3 different splicing methods, okay? Remember, the primary splice is just taking this and laying it in and going. The V-splice is taking it, putting it in kind of a 2 pattern or 2 different directions and then twisting in. And then finally, the false splicing is just laying in micro, thin fibers all the way down the rope. And if you go back and you look at battleships from World War I, you look at their rope and how they're made. If I were to take them apart, what you would actually see is you'd start off, because first of all, they're about this big around, those World War I battleship ropes. They're probably bigger, to be honest, but they're about that big around. Now, if I were to pull that apart, you'd see 2 giant pieces about that big. Now, if I were to take that one giant piece, you'd see 2 pieces about that big. If I took that one apart, you'd see 2 pieces that big. And just exponentially, it's breaking down. That is why rope is so strong. It's just like a ton of fibers coming together to hold things up. And that's it. That's the definition of cordage. So, I'm going to give you all just a little break here, meaning not just but a couple seconds. I'm going to grab a drink of water for myself. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments and I will cover cordage again. Until then, get yourself ready by grabbing 2 pieces of rope. I would prefer them be different colors, but it doesn't really matter. And get ready to do knot tying with us. We'll be back in 1 second. Okay, so we're going to talk knots. And I just looked at my notes and I just realized I didn't say one thing. When you're looking in nature for rope, you want to look for 3 things. You want to look for strength, right? Strong, right? I cannot break this raffia. You want to look for strength. You want to look for flexibility. Look at this, okay? Look how flexible that is, right? That's a great example of a good, strong cord. And finally, the last thing looking for is length. You do not want to work with pieces of cordage this big. You will get so sick and tired of splicing, it will drive you nuts. So, what we need is a good long length, we need a lot of flexibility, and we need something that is strong. If you can check off all 3 of those on your list, congratulations, you have found a wonderful cordage. Now, don't forget, Central Texas is loaded with good cordage, right? We've got dogbane, we've got guara, we've got rattlebush, we've got milkweed, we've got cattail, we've got yucca leaves, we've got parasol tree. This is an invasive species that not a lot of people like. It's often an ornamental. Some people just remove it because it kind of looks like a money tree, but big. This thing will give you hundreds, well, maybe not hundreds, 25 to 50 feet lengths of cord. This tree will right here. Willow, you want to use the inner bark. Basswood, inner bark. Palm, all these different trees around here. Cottonwood, mulberry, juniper. I've got obviously put a bunch more in here that I haven't made yet. But there's plenty of cordage for you to go out in Central Texas and just look around and find something. This one's probably going to be the easiest one for you all to find. Yucca leaves or cattail leaves, these are both real simple to find. You can go to almost any natural park area and collect a few yucca leaves. So, right cord for the right job, strength, length, flexibility, and yeah, just have fun. If you are getting into primitive skills for the very first time, I would definitely recommend starting with cordage, because cordage is one of those skills that no matter where you go, you can practice it. If you're going on a family vacation and you're driving in the car, you can wrap cordage. If you're sitting in a truck stop bathroom and there's little paper towels next to you, you can make cordage out of that too. I know that because I've done it. If you're sitting around a campfire and there's a tree next to you and it's got some lengths of, you know, shaggy bark, rip some off and try to practice that skill. You'd be real fascinated and intrigued by how many people are going to start gathering around you quickly and going, what are you doing? And then you can be like, yeah, I'm making rope from this plant. And they're going to be like, what? How do you do that? Show me. And it's pretty cool. So, hope y'all enjoyed making cordage with me, and we will be doing this in person soon. In order to get your knot tying badge, you will have to present the cord that you make. Okay, I don't let anybody get a badge unless you show me that you can make rope. All right? All right, so done with that. Now, we are going to discuss knots. So hopefully you all have your ropes. And we're not going to cover every single knot that we normally cover in the class at the Buzz Mill. We're just going to do maybe about 10, maybe a little more. And we're going to start with just some simple ones, okay? This first one is called a cow hitch. A cow hitch got its name because I'm pretty sure somebody just walked over to a cow, threw this thing around its neck, pulled the other two pieces through the loop. Oh, sorry. Make a bite. Sorry. I just jumped right into the knot without explaining anything. Make a bite. Lay it over your finger. Okay? Now, pull through the bite the working and standing end, and it should look just like this. Okay? Now, maybe this is the other reason it's got that name cow hitch, is because it kind of looks like a cow head, but I'm pretty sure it got its name because somebody was just like, come on, cow, and threw this rope around his neck and walked him into the barn or whatever it was. But this is how it works. Okay? Make a bite. Put it over a finger. Put the bite down. Now, pull through the bite. Okay, does everybody see what I'm doing here? Pull through the bite, the standing and working end, and then cinch. Now, here is something, another term. Anytime a knot is kind of halfway done, this is called an undressed knot. When you pull this tight, that is called a dressed knot. So if you hear me say the word, hey, dress your knot, or don't dress it yet, that's what I'm referring to. Don't pull it tight. Okay? Let's do the cow's head one more time, or the cow hitch one more time. Make a bite. Bite over the finger. Pull the working and standing end through the bite. And then dress your knot down. And you should have something that looks like this. Now, the next knot is just an additional piece of this. So now we've got our cow's head, or cow hitch. Now we're going to add a prusik. Here, we're going to do the prusik. Here's how to do the prusik. Start with a cow's head. Split the working and standing end away from each other. And then go in one more time. Okay? So it basically looks like now you've got 4 instead of 2. Why do we do this? Well, here's the deal. When you're like this can actually slide around and move, right? Meaning it can be adjusted. Once you put the prusik in there, it cinches down so tight that it almost becomes kind of a constrictor knot. And now it can't go in either direction because of these two having so much force exerted in them that these cannot slide. So that's the reason you would do a prusik versus the cow's head. If you want things to slide around and have some mobility, go with the cow's head. If you want things to stay completely stationary, do the prusik. Let's do it again from the very get-go. Make a bite over the finger, down, through. Now we got our cow's head. Make the gap in between and put them through once more. And there we go. That's it. Okay, that's the Prusik. Remember, if you need me to do something again, don't worry. I see I got a comment here. Bobby Sandoval, hello. I apologize if you already answered this. Do you have a book that you recommend to people learning knots? Also, since I didn't think to ask during the knife demo, is there a book that you recommend on learning knife cuts? Yes, on both questions. Okay, first of all, the book on the knots. I really like this one. This is Knots by Richard Hopkins. It's in a hardback book, and I have not found one of these books in quite some time, except at places like Powell's City of Books in Oregon, any used bookstore, half-price books, anything there. If you go on Amazon and you order this, you're probably going to be looking through the used section. So this is the book I would recommend. The reason I like this book so much is because the way it breaks down the knots into specific types of categories. So let's say you're looking to go fishing and you're looking for specific fishing knots. You would just simply jump over here to the page where it says fishing knots and then look at all the fishing knots. These are general knots. There's camping knots. There's security knots in here. There's all different types of knots, and they're broken down by category and what you would do with the knots. That's really why I like this book the best. This book even contains some knots that I have never seen in any other book out there. Okay, so Knots by Richard Hopkins is the one that I would recommend, Bobby. As far as knife carving books from a couple weeks ago, I would recommend a book. It's called Whittling. I don't know the name of the author, but there's also another book by Trackers PDX. It's actually a knife carving book for kids, but for adults, I'm telling you, it's the best thing for anyone to learn on. And look up Trackers PDX knife book on Google, and that would probably bring it up. Or Trackers, I think it's Trackers PDX knife. Just look that up. That's what I would do. So, thank you so much for your question, Bobby. I'm going to scroll down here and look at a few more questions because I saw a couple more. I'm excited to try this. Thank you so much, Megan. Ariel is watching. Hey, Ariel. Lauren, I hope you're having a great time up there. It says, Chris, the event page has you as not going live yet, just so you know. Oh, no. That's weird. That. I don't know why that's happening. Howdy! Is that Sai? Is that how you say your name? Hope you're doing well. Thanks, Alexa. Thanks, Mark, for watching. And let's get back to knot time. All right. So, we talked about a cow's hitch, simply pulling the two through the bite, right? That one was the simple one. We talked Prusik, simply doubling up on that, okay? Now, we are going to move on to the very first knot that I showed you when we started making cordage. So, what you're going to do is make a loop. Okay, here is our loop. I'm actually going to adjust this real quick, so give me just 1 second. I'm going to lower this so y'all can get a better view. There we go. Okay, so now I've got my bite here. I'm sorry, my loop. And now I'm going to take one of my working ends and tuck it in just like that. And then pull and dress down. Congratulations, you just tied the very first knot in your shoes, right? It's called an overhand knot. Let's do that again together. Cross them, make a loop, tuck one, pull tight. And that's it. It's that classic overhand knot that everybody should know. If you don't, congratulations, it's your very first knot. And no worries, hey, some of us don't know knots, and that's why we tie lots, right? That's the joke. So, let's do it again. One more time. Loop, working end into the loop, tight. Okay? And that's it. That's our overhand knot. Now, let's do that exact same knot. But this time, let's put a bite in it. Okay? So here's how we do that. We make a bite. We then make a loop with our bite. We then take our bite and tuck it into our loop. This is what is known as a thumb knot. It kind of like a thumb, okay? Also, you can call this an overhand loop knot. These are great for just hooking on things really, really quick. tying down things really quick, just making a loop in the end of a rope really quick that you need to then hook onto. These are great for that. However, there's a drawback to this knot, and that is once you put so much tension onto this knot, it is very, very difficult to get this out. So in just a bit, I'm going to teach you what's called a figure 8 knot, and that is the knot that I would use if I'm going to make a loop to join something at the end to then put a lot of tension on. Okay? Quick, let's back up and let's do this again. Make a bite. Take your bite, cross it over and make a loop. Take your bite and tuck it into your loop. And there is our overhand thumb knot, or overhand loop knot. All right. Does anybody need me to repeat or go over either one of those again? Okay, just comment in the section, say, do it again, or tell me the name, okay? The next one is called the figure 8, and this is where we get into kind of a odd set of knots, okay? But that's okay. We're going to keep going together. Here we go. First thing is you're going to make a loop, okay? And now you're going to take the end that's on top of the loop and you're going to put it around the back, almost like you're beginning to make an ampersand, right? Y'all know what that symbol is? The and symbol, right? So you can kind of see here. Now, all I got to do is tuck this end into the loop, and if you look, it looks just like an 8. Hence why it's called a figure 8 knot. Okay? I'm going to do it again, don't worry. We take our rope, we make a loop. The loop that crossed over the bottom, so the top part, is going to go behind the bottom. And now it tucks into the bite. Just like that, or the loop, sorry. Okay, let's do it one last time. Loop, behind, working end into the loop. Figure 8 knot, okay? This is a knot that a lot of rock climbers use when they're tethering in, and they oftentimes will do it on a bite. So let's do that again. Let's do the exact same thing, except let's put a bite in it this time. So here's our bite. We cross, we come back around, and then back through. If you don't have a really long piece of rope to do this with, it will be hard. And you can see how tiny my rope is. It's not that big. But this is a figure 8 on a bite. And that's what a lot of people tie into and then clip in with their carabiner when they go rappelling and rock climbing and things like that. Those of you who are rock climbers who are watching out there probably know this very well. By the way, when you're tying in, do not let people talk to you. Do not be talking to people. Do not be distracted in any way, shape, or form. There was a wonderful woman who was tying in one time and did not complete it and fell. And I don't believe that she climbs any longer because I think she became either a paraplegic or a quadriplegic. Please be aware. Triple check your safety gear. Triple check your knots. Trust yourself, trust your friends, trust your team. Make sure that everything is cinched down nice and tight when you're doing rappelling and rock climbing and stuff. I'm sure those of you who do it out there are well rehearsed in all this stuff. But it always, you know, helps to just for people to hear those reminders. Okay, now let's one last time do a figure 8. Here we go. Loop, behind, into the loop. Okay, loop, behind, into the loop. Okay, there's our figure 8. All right, now this is where we get real tricky. I'm going to teach you the knot that just has everybody angry. And the reason I say that is because it just looks weird. It's perceived weird. If you don't do it right, it will be a different knot. But we are going to do the bowline. Okay? Everybody who knows about knots you know, probably knows the bowline really, really well. This is a great knot to use. So here's how we do it. We start with a loop. Okay. Now, we then go with our working end. The top right here, everybody, the top. So if you're looking at it from your direction, this is the working end down here. This is the standing end up here. Okay? So you're going to come from underneath, around the tree. I'm sorry. This is the story that I tell the kids when I teach kids knot tying. It's about a little rabbit who lives in a hole, and one day the rabbit pops his head out, runs around the tree, and goes back into his hole. Okay? Now if you do this right, it should have a little tag sticking down into the loop. If you did it wrong, the tag might be sticking out the back like this, okay? But I'm going to do it again real quick for you. Here we go. Make a loop, okay? With your working end on the bottom. Make your loop. Make sure, I'm going to do something really odd real quick. I'm going to flip the camera. There we go. Because I think this would actually work better. I think this will actually help you all. I'm now shocked at myself that I'm not doing this. Here we go. Okay, good. Now, make your loop. Take your bottom end in, around, and right back down into the exact same place that you came out from. Then hold that and pull tight. And that's your bowline. Now, if you made a mistake and you didn't go into the exact same spot that you came out of and you go in here, watch what happens. You get this other odd-looking, weird figure 8 knot. And that's how you know you did it wrong. Okay, so I'm going to back that out and put it in the place where it should have gone. So let's do it again together. Loop. Working end. Okay, notice my working end is on top. In, behind the standing part, and back into the exact same spot. And then pull tight. Okay? It should not be sliding around. If your knot slides around, you made a slip knot. You didn't make a bowline. Okay? If it's sliding around on you, you didn't do it right. So back it out and try again. Okay. All right. Now, I think Bobby said, much better, thank you. Yes, exactly. I think this will help because now it actually looks like you're looking at your hands when you're looking at my hands. I think that helps out a lot. So I'm sorry I wasn't doing that before. Let's do this one last time and then we'll move on. Here we go. We take our knot, we take our rope. We make a loop. We take our bottom working end. We go into the loop. We go around the back of the standing end. And then we follow back into the loop. Now hold that. Hold it. Don't let go of it. Hold the loop and then pull the standing end. That's it. That's your bowline. Or bowline. I don't know how people say it. I'm from Texas, whatever. Bowline. Hit the bowline. Okay. Does anybody else need help out there? Okay. Again, please. Yes, absolutely, Bobby. No worries. Here we go. Once. Loop. Okay, so I'll twitch it like that. There we go. Loop. Remember, the top crosses over. We take our bottom working end up behind the standing end and back in to the exact same place we came out of. And then pull tight. Now, you got to hold on to that little part, too. Pull tight. There's our bowline. Okay? This is a wonderful knot for hooking things onto. Here's why. As soon as that tension and that load is off of there, all you got to do is flip the rope over, bend this piece down, and it pops right out. And it's over. And it doesn't matter if you put 10,000 pounds on this or 100,000 pounds. It's going to come out just like you just saw in that ease. Okay? It's going to come out just like you just saw, just like that. Okay? So here's your hook, massive amount of pressure, flip it over, pull this down, pull this out, rope comes undone. It's so much easier than untying one of these. And how many of you can comment and be like, yeah, that was me. How many of you have had one of these knots and you were like, I can't get it undone, and you just cut it, right? I have, because these things are horrible to get undone. Because once that amount of tension is on there, it's over. So use the bowline or the figure 8 on a bite. Both of those knots are way better than the overhand loop knot. Okay? Awesome. So, we are really going to quickly talk about joining two ropes together. This is where if you have two different colored ropes, it's really going to be easy for you. If you have two of the same rope, it might be a little bit more difficult, but nonetheless, you can still follow along. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by taking and making what is called a square knot, okay? A square knot is actually two overhand knots, except the second time you do the overhand knot, you go opposite the direction you went the first time. So let me explain by a demonstration. We cross, we come under. There is our first overhand knot. Now, we are going to cross and do that again, except because this is the way I started, I'm actually going to do it the other way. So look, here's how I started, red over my blue. I'm going to put my blue over my red. Now, when I flip this in, I will see a square knot. Now, here's how you know for a fact you've got a square knot. The same color is side by side. Look here. Two reds side by side, not divided by a blue. Two blues side by side, not divided by red. If you do it wrong, you will have done this. You see? You see how the blue is divided by the red? And you see how the red is divided by the blue? That means you just made what is called a granny knot, which does work, but it doesn't work as well as a square knot. Okay? So let's do the square knot one more time. Cross over, go under, start your square, or I'm sorry, start your overhand knot. Now, do the exact same thing, except flip the colors. Okay? So now, you've got a square knot. And that's it. Right there. Okay? Oh, the video's getting dark. Okay. Sorry about that. Hold on 1 second. I'm actually outside and is that any better? Is that any better, guys? Is the lighting any better? With that plastic twist stuff, I just cut it, right? Yeah, exactly, Bobby, me too. If the light is not getting any better, I can transition to the inside. That's not a problem. Let me know, just comment down below if it's getting way too dark. Okay? So, what I would like to see now is us do the square knot once again. So cross them. Okay? There's my overhand knot starting out. And then simply do it again. But remember, you know you did it right when they're side by side like this. Okay? Now, there's another way to do this knot. If you're one of those people who's like, show me another way to do something. Congratulations, you're just like me. Okay? Here's another way to do it. Simply make a bite in your left knot or right, it doesn't matter. Okay? Make a bite. Now, take your other string, go from the underside into the bite. Let your string go around both strands, and then simply tuck it right back in. And you just, congratulations, made a little square knot. Okay? Let's do that one more time, just so everybody can see how I did that. Make a bite, come up, go around the back, and then simply come back through the loop. Or the bite, sorry, excuse me, the bite. And that's it. All right? Now, there's one more way of doing this. All right? I think, I'm pretty sure, okay? And here it is. You're just simply going to do this. Okay, make 2 bites. Put 1 bite into the other. And then pull through one of the bites the opposite strings. Look, same thing. Let me do that again, because I probably did that too quick for most of you. Make 2 bites. Okay. And then lay them over, or I'm sorry, put one inside the other, and then pull through there. That's it. So now you've got 3 different ways to make a square knot. All right? I like that one better. Thank you, Megan. I do too. I do too. Let me just tell you this about knots. Some people will teach you the hardest way to tie a knot. And then later on in your knot tying career, you'll be like, oh man, look how easy this is to tie a knot. And I'll show you, I mean, it's like that with the bowline too. I'm not in person, so I can't show you all my little variations, but we're just gonna keep going. But thank you for commenting, Megan. Now, let's talk about a sheet bend. And I'm just gonna practice real quick so I make sure I know exactly what I'm doing here with a sheet bend. Okay. Pretty sure this is a sheet bend. All right, let's look here. So, we are going to start with a bite. Okay. We are going to take that next one, and we are going to come up through the bite. We are going to go around the back. And then what we're going to do is lift this high. You see that there? And now tuck your working end into that blue. Congratulations, you have made a sheet bend. Okay, there's a sheet bend. This one's a lot of fun whenever I go camping and I'm doing my survival stuff. Meaning just practicing my skills. Those of you who have been watching all these live stream videos, you're gonna know what I'm talking about when I say my bushcraft bag. Inside my bushcraft bag, I have a big old tarp. I like tarp camping. I like tarp survival. I like tarp shelters. I do not like grommets. Grommets are those little rings that you get at the corner, right? And they're usually like metal or something like that. They're sometimes plastic. And those things always blow out. If you're like me and you do a lot of tent camping and you do a lot of tarp camping, you know those things blow out. So here's what you do. You take the corner and you bundle it. And let's just say, for instance, this is that corner. Okay? I bundle the corner and then I fold that corner back onto itself like this. So I've got a bite in my tarp at the corner. I then take a rope. I go into my bite, okay? I go around the back, I lift the rope, I give a good gap, and I tuck the rope in. And then I pull tight. And that does not break. And, well, now I'm not gonna lie. If you got a really crappy quality tarp, it might rip. But I buy good quality tarps, and I've never had my tarp break when I do the sheet bend on my tarp. Okay? So that's the sheet bend. All right? Does anybody need me to do the sheet bend again? Anybody? Go ahead and comment down below. I will do it again. I'll do it one more time just to show you. Here we go. Bite. Working end into the bite from the underneath. Okay? around the back of the bite, lift. Now tuck that working end into that lift. Just like that. And there's our sheet bend. Looks good? Looks good to me. I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes out here, y'all. I should probably have not done this outside, but it's nice out here, and I miss you all so much, and I'm so used to doing these classes outside. Obviously, y'all know, on the patio of the Buzz Mill. Yeah. So, let's see here. Yes, Bobby, exactly. It is very similar to the second way that I showed you how to do the last one. Correct. It's very similar to that. Now, if you were to try to do that with a tarp, right, it would go up, go around, and then back down and through. It will work, but it doesn't work as well. Okay, I have had this when the line got real taut, this little thing popped out because of the plastic quality of the tarp. The sheet bend just works a lot better. So once again, bite, working end up, behind, pull, make a gap, tuck into the gap, boom, right? There is our sheet bend. And again, the other cool thing about this knot is, let's say you're actually trying to join two pieces of rope, and one of the rope is 10 times as thick as the other rope. You can still join the two knots using this method, and it works wonders. I'm not saying that now suddenly this length of cord is now as strong as this thick length of cord, but you can join a thick piece of rope to a thin piece of rope using this method pretty effectively. Okay? We need to learn how to make a mosquito net. Yes, exactly. Mosquitoes are bad right now. Sucks because being outside is the best. I know, Ellen, you're absolutely right. Citronella! Yeah, where is that stuff? Oh, you know what? I actually got one burning, like, right over there. All right. So, let's continue on. I hope y'all are having fun with this. I don't know why, but I've been teaching knot classes. Well, first of all, I've been teaching primitive skills for 10 years, and for whatever reason, knot tying classes just seem to be the type of classes that don't ever really do well. But for some reason, I really enjoy teaching them, and I'm really hoping that y'all are liking this class and this format of this class, because it's fun to me to sit here and tie knots like this. I am not going to lie, and this might sound private, but I usually will, in my house, keep this book in my bathroom. And the reason I do that is because when I'm going to the restroom, right, I can sit here and practice knots, right? And I'm sure y'all are like, wow, too much info, but I'm going to tell you how I practice. Okay? So, I am loving this. Hey, Ellen, thank you. I am loving you being here watching. This is fun. Thanks, Chris. I look forward to joining in person in the future, too. Absolutely. I like that, Megan. How do we fight mosquitoes naturally? That's right. Oh, and by the way, to your comment on making mosquito nets, holy cow. I've made fishing nets, and you know, they're usually like measured in, you know, centimeters or inches or whatever, and I've made some fishing nets that are that big. It takes hundreds of hours. I could not imagine weaving a mosquito net. I think I'd rather just go submerge myself in water and then just douse my face in mud and just live there like a swamp thing or something. I've got friends who've been to Nicaragua, and they tell me it's the most hellacious, horrible jet fighter mosquito pilots you'll ever see there. Also in Minnesota and the Great Lakes, is you know, pretty crazy up there with the amount of mosquitoes they get. But we're here in Texas. All right, let's get back to a couple of knots. Now, the next one I'm going to teach you is pretty simple. It simply requires you to have two pieces of rope and one overhand knot in each end of the rope. So let's start here. I'm going to take my rope. I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to tuck my working end into my loop. Now, do not dress it. Don't dress it, okay? You've got your little overhand knot here. Don't pull it tight, okay? You got to leave that gap. That gap's going to come into reason in just a minute. Put that to the side. Grab your next one. Do the exact same thing. Loop, tuck, don't dress, okay? So now you've got two that look like this, okay? And what you're going to do is you're actually going to flip-flop them to where one is going this way and one's going this way. And hopefully y'all can see that. I can't see that. Oh, there it goes. Good. Now, watch this. I'm going to take this end of this red one that doesn't have a knot in it, and I'm going to tuck it into that overhand knot. Now I'm going to pull the blue taut, or dress my knot. Here we go. Okay? Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Take my blue that does not have a knot in it, and I'm going to tuck that one right into my overhand knot on my red one. Now I'm going to cinch or dress down my red knot. Here we go. Boom. Now, grab that blue and grab that red without a knot in it and pull together. Here we go. Voila. This is called a fisherman's knot. Okay? This is a way to join two knots together. But once again, what have I been telling you all the whole time about these overhand knots? If you put a massive amount of pressure on this, it will not come untied. Okay? It's going to be hard as heck. The reason I'm showing you all of these is I truly think that an overhand knot anyone can do. And through an overhand knot, you can slowly accomplish what it is that you're trying to do. So you can see here, these two overhand knots just join two pieces of rope together. Okay? And it's literally that simple. You can also make adjusting necklaces. Those of you who are jewelers out there, I've got some friends who do jewelry, and one day one of them asked me, hey, I want to make an adjusting necklace for my stuff. I taught her this knot. Now she puts these in every single one of her necklaces, and what her clients can do is they can adjust whether they want the necklace to hang down low or they want the necklace pendant to hang up high. So it's all up to you. And these are great with leather. They hold on really, really well. Latigo is another type of kind of leather. It's a thicker leather. It works really well too. So these are great for jewelry making. Okay. Also great for obviously joining two ropes together. Let's do it one more time. Okay. All right, so I am loving it, but it is hard because I feel like I forgot the first notch, I'm sorry, hold on. I am loving it, but it's hard because I feel like I forgot the first knots with every one new I learn. So I understand where you're coming from. The problem with that and the way to mitigate that is to actually find a pragmatic and practical solution for these knots. Meaning, find a way to use them regularly. Once you find a way to use them regularly, then they will just be within your muscle memory for a very long time. Okay? But real quick, Megan, thank you so much for that comment, and I understand your connection's kind of bad, so you're going to watch the rest later. No worries. Let's go ahead and continue on to do the fisherman knot one last time. We're going to make a loop. We're going to tuck our working end. Remember, working end, standing end. We're going to tuck our working end into the loop. Do not dress the knot down. Put it to the side. Take our next one. Make a loop. Working end, standing end, take your working end, tuck into the loop, do not dress down. Okay? Now, opposite side of the first one, tuck that in, dress your knot down now. Okay? Opposite side of the knot you just dressed down, where there's no knot, tuck that into the opposite down there, and then dress down. Now, pull the two ends that do not have knots in them, and watch as your rope comes together. Isn't that satisfying? I don't know why. Ooh, that doesn't happen there. It should come together a lot more pretty than that. Something went wrong right here. Okay. All right. So, once we're done, we simply grab behind each one of the knots, here, and then pull. And it comes right undone. Okay? All right. Now, the last one of joining two knots has a little fun story in it. And my fun story starts in Panther Cove, California. just on the coast there. And I was at a survival school, and there happened to be a few gentlemen who were surfing and doing all kinds of cool stuff. And we happened to stumble upon a blue whale. Now, this blue whale had a ton of sinew. If you don't know what sinew is tendon. Think about a ligament, okay? Like your Achilles tendon, right? Or, you know, that part of tendon. That is an extremely fibrous piece of a body. Now, on a blue whale, some of the tendon is literally this thick and thicker. And the problem that we were having was we could not join two pieces of the tendon or the sinew together. What was happening was if we put a fisherman knot, it would slide out. If we put a reef knot, it would slide out. If you put a square knot, it would slide out. If you put a sheet bend, it would slide out. The only thing that we could figure out was how to do this was called a lap knot, okay? And a lap knot did not come out. And I think the reason, and it's L-A-P-P, by the way, lap, L-A-P-P, lap knot. And here's how it works. You take a bite, you cross it over, and then you go behind. I'm sorry, you take a bite, you take your secondary string, you cross it over, you go behind, and now you see this little part right here, cross over that red, and then tuck it right in there, just like that. That is a lap knot. And it looks like a sheet bend, I know. It looks like a sheet bend. In fact, you could probably, you know, make a case that it's very much like it, but look at what a sheet bend actually does. Wait, I may have just done a sheet bend. Hold on. Sorry. No, it's not. It's different. It's different. Okay. So here is the lap knot over, right? And let's look at that one. And now here, here's the sheet bend. So you can see them side by side. They do look similar, but they're actually just a little bit different. And here's how you can see. You see how the working end is tucked into itself, and the working end is tucked into the secondary. Okay, so this is the sheet bend, and this is the lap knot. The lap knot, when it pulls onto its own self. And that's why the blue whale sinew that was extremely oily and slippery, and my goodness, I couldn't wash that oil off my hands for days, and I did stink horrendously, so luckily y'all didn't have to smell me. But you can see how these joins in this manner. And when looking compared to the lap knot, to the sheet bend, you can see just how similar they are, but at the same time quite different. Okay, so let's do that again real quick. All right, I got a couple comments here. Micah, yes, finding a practical way to apply each of these knots seems like it would help to remember them. Absolutely. Find a way to use these knots regularly. Next, thank you so much, Chris. My connection isn't great either. In case I missed the closing, thank you, thank you, thank you. Fun, educational, and useful. Thank you, Bobby. Ellen, in what case would you use each? That's a great question. So again, if you're finding that you have real thin ropes and they're slipping out when you pull them tight, I wouldn't use the sheet bend. I would try to use the lap knot. But I have had a lot of success with sheet bends working on thin knots with thick knots, right? So here's what I would say. If one doesn't work, try the other. Right? That's what I would say. Because I can't give you a specific moment in time and an exact application or an exact experience or circumstances that you would find yourself in order to use each particular knot. But it's just something that you want to trial and error and kind of play around with. But let's do the lap knot one last time. And then I'm going to show you one more knot and we're going to close out this live stream. Okay, here we go. Lap knot. Make a bite. Cross, over, tuck behind, cross over, and into the bite. And pull tight. Dress. Okay? I'm going to do it again real slow. Here we go. Bite, over, behind both the lines of the loop. I'm sorry, the bite. In the bite right here, tuck it. Just like that. Pull tight. And that's it. That is your lap knot. All right. So, yeah, and I'm sorry, Ellen, to not answer your question more specifically. I definitely understand what you're asking, and like maybe would you use this one in hammock camping versus this one in tent camping, or would you use this one? And I can't really give you a very specific explanation for that, but I would definitely just, if one doesn't work, try the other. And I would also say the more you tie these, the more it gets easier. It's just like anything in life. The more you do it, the better it gets, the easier it gets. After you get so good at it, I'm not even kidding, get a blindfold, put the blindfold on, and try to tie these knots. If you can close your eyes, I'm closing my eyes right now, and still tie these, okay, you have achieved something, okay? And right now I still have my eyes closed. I know y'all can't see my eyes are closed, but I just tied a lap knot right there. I'm going to untie the lap knot. I'm going to try to do the sheet bend up, through, down, in, and I'm still blindfolded. There we go. But that's because I've been teaching this stuff for so long and I use these knots so often. So get that good. I always tell people, the second you feel like you've mastered something, put a blindfold on and do it, right? So that Lars Anderson guy who shoots like 5,000 arrows a second, I'm like, yeah, right, do it with a blindfold. No, Lars Anderson really is a cool dude. Watch his videos. That he holds the world record for fastest arrow launching. It's pretty cool. It's like watching a machine gun, but with bows and arrows. L-A-R-S Anderson, Lars Anderson. Look him up on YouTube. Now, the last knot that I want to tie you, tie you. Did I do that on purpose? The last knot that I want to teach you is kind of just a joke, but it's kind of serious. I don't want to make light of a subject, but hey, you know what? Maybe when the world ends and you're all teamed up with me because we're the Lumber Society, and we have, some bad people who we don't want doing bad things. We got to restrain them. So I'm going to teach you about how to make a handcuff knot, okay? And here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and join these two pieces of rope together. Now, here's your test. Find a way to join these two ropes together. I have given you 1, 2, 3. I've given you 4 ways to join these two ropes together. So find a way to do it. I'm just going to do my square knot. Okay. There's my square knot. Now the two ropes are joined together. I've got this long piece of rope. Now, if you have one long piece of rope, you do not need to join the two together unless you want to practice, in which case I highly recommend it. Now, you've got this rope, and it's long. You're going to take on the right side, make a loop. And now, this is important. Pay attention here. This loop needs to go above, okay? Above. Now, on your second side, this loop needs to go behind. Behind. So you've got one loop that's over top, and you got one loop that's underneath. Is everybody still understanding right now? What we're going to do now is we're actually going to cross them halfway. This is a full cross. This is a halfway cross. Okay? So cross them halfway. Now, from underneath, grab one, and from top, grab two, and pull just like that. That is your handcuff knot. Okay? Now, I've got an assistant here, and she is going to cinch these down, and you will see quickly, pull, 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 right? You see how my hands come together. Pull this one, there, right? I'm going to do it again. here we go again. 1 over top. Oh, the thing came undone. That's why. Sorry, folks. There we go. Okay. I'm actually going to cinch this down, too, so that it gives this more appearance of being one rope. Oh, Lord. There we go. Okay. So now, back to it. 1 loop over top. 1 loop underneath. And now, we're going to fold them over each other halfway. And what you're going to do is pull them through each other. And I know that sounds weird, but watch what I'm doing. I'm pulling the blue through the red, and I'm pulling the red through the blue. So here we go. You ready? Just like that. Now, when I put my hands in here, and she pulls tight, that's it. My hands aren't going anywhere. FYI, don't ever handcuff somebody in front of their body. Always put their hands behind their back. Okay? So, that's how you do it. Now, maybe this is because you want some fun in the bedroom. And you don't actually plan on keeping prisoners whenever there's a apocalyptic nightmare scenario in the end of the world situation, right? But I still feel like this is just a fun knot. It's kind of, you know, it's just fun. And yeah, I don't know that I have any other knots to teach you. So if you have any other questions, or if you would like to learn any, or me to do a review of any one knot that I've taught this evening, go ahead and comment what that knot is down below, and I'll cover it really quick. I'm only going to take about 2 to 3 minutes for this. While we are doing that, I'm going to give you all some information about what's been going on at the Buzz Mill. In case you are not aware, we've got some pretty cool things going on. So first of all, I just wanted to let you all know that the Buzz Mill drink menu plus food from all 4 trailers is available. It's for takeout as well as delivery. And you can go to buzzmillcoffee.com to see that. And that's Plow Bow, that's Plow Burger, that's 1776 cheesesteak, absolutely delicious. J&L Barbecue, just as good. They're all amazing. I mean, I can't get enough of those things. Man, that campfire Plow Burger, let me tell you. Plus, Buzz Mill has officially reopened to their 24 hours of operation. The patio is open. We are doing the social distance thing, or the physical distance thing, I should say. So our tables have been distanced out. And please do not forget to wear your masks. We are now in all businesses of Austin now are requiring all patrons to wear masks. And finally, if you loved this video and you would like to donate anything to me, you can do that by Venmoing me at Natureversity. And how that's spelled is at, and then N-A-T-U-R-E, Natureversity. N-A-T-U-R-E. So at Natureversity. I just wanted to let you all know we have another video coming up soon. And let me write this down here. You can at Natureversity. So just remember, these videos, we do them for free. I don't make any money off this, so if you can kindly donate, that would be wonderful. If not, no big deal. I'm still going to do this for you all. I love you all. I'm really happy to do this because I feel like what the world needs more than anything in this moment in time is for us as a populace to reclaim our skills of self-reliance. Now more than ever, we need people gardening. Now more than ever, we need small grassroots level community building. And it starts with these things: fire, song, dances, small communities, you know, building things, primitive engineering, scouting, medics, all that stuff. We need it all. So practice it, right? Get out there, create your own community, share with your friends these skills, and have fun while doing it. Reestablish those lost connections that we all once had as a human on this planet, okay? At this point, I would just like to, just say that I hope y'all had fun. And I hope that y'all learned a lot with these knots. If you have any other knots that you'd like me to practice, I will do them. Oh, it looks like we do. It looks like Bobby would like to do one. Let's see here. The very last one, I guess, was the handcuff knot. Is that it? Sorry, I'm looking at the comments here. Oop. Okay, we're gonna make a loop, and then we are going to go from the bottom, right, through that loop with our working end. We are then gonna go around the back of the standing end, and then tuck into that original spot we came out of, and then pull tight. And there's our bowline. I'll do it for you one more time. Make a loop. Okay. From the underside, go back around, and then down in. Remember to hold that tight. If you don't hold this working end tight, when you pull the standing end, it will just kind of flop out of there. Okay? And there's your bowlines. Bowline! All right, let's see. Any other questions? Do the rabbit one, please. Oh, the bowline. Yeah, the one I just did. Thank you, Selena. Let's look at more comments here. Can't recall the actual name. Great class. Thank you so much. Can you do another virtual fire making class? Yes, we are going to do a virtual fire making class soon. Thank you, Ellen, for joining us. And that is it. I hope y'all all have a great evening. Really looking forward to doing another one of these videos. And look out for our video next Thursday. I think we're going to be doing fire making next Thursday. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I might even touch a little bit more on the shelter building stuff. Hopefully y'all really enjoyed that. I know it was a lot more information based than it was. Sorry, I'm doing my camera all back up. Here we go. There's my face. Hi there, everybody. We gave a lot of information in that shelter building video, and I really just wanted to cover the rudimentary basics of the thermoregulation. So how the body loses and gains heat, right? If you didn't watch that video, it's the best way to get exposed to the basics of shelter building is by understanding thermoregulation of your body. Because you don't need to know how to build survival shelters out the wazoo and all the different styles and types. All you need to figure out to do is figure out what is the body doing. Is it gaining heat? Well, then stop it. Is it losing heat? Well, then stop it. And that's how you build a shelter accordingly, depending. So if you're losing heat via conduction, meaning you're touching direct contact, what's the solution? Well, insulation, putting something in between that thing. If you're losing heat via convection, then get behind a non-permeable surface, right? Shelter buildings are a strange thing that people are always like, all right, build this type of shelter. No, just figure out how your body loses and gains heat. So I hope y'all enjoyed that video. And yeah, we'll be definitely making a lot more of these. Anybody who all over the country wants to be a part of Lumber Society, watch these videos. I would say we get a lot of questions from people saying, can we get those patches? I would entertain that idea to send those patches across the country if you can prove to me that you earned them. How do you earn them? Upload on Instagram or Facebook. Tag us in a post that shows you did the work, that you made a epic cordage board, or that you made every single type of knot. You tied every single type of knot, sorry. And that's how you would earn your patch and be able to participate further in the Lumber Society. So, without any more words being said, I've talked y'all's ears off enough. Thank y'all so much. I hope y'all have a great evening. I will see you all at the next video next Thursday. Until then, frequent your buzz mill and get out there and help your communities. Y'all take care. Have a good night.